So I will just go over the material a little bit for the sake of those who came late. Since I won't go in detail, but just give you an overview. We were talking about anthropology. Anthropology is the doctrine of man, because the word anthropos means man and logos means the word. So it's a word about man. Anthropology, we basically talk about the creation, the probation, the fall, but generally we do not talk about regeneration, sanctification, glorification and all that. The reason is they are the work of God, not what we do in any way. So we cover them under another heading called soteriology, the doctrine of salvation. Yes. We said in the morning that man was created with the capacity for holiness and the capacity for fall. In other sense, he had the capacity. God never allowed him, never given him the freedom to sin, but he was told not to eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge, but he had the capacity. God never created a machine that will function according to the whim and pleasure of the operator. No. Man was created in his likeness. So God gave him capacity, and man has misused that capacity. He should have used the capacity not to fall for holiness, but instead he used the capacity for fall. And so a great ethical change has taken place in man. No metaphysical change. Hope you know what I mean. Metaphysically, man is material part and immaterial part. That's the constitution, that's the being of man. When man sinned, he didn't lose the material part or the immaterial part. What he lost is his relationship with God. God said that the day you eat, you will be out of the garden. Our relationship will be lost. So that's what, it's ethical, it's relational. It's not something man lost a part of his being. So at salvation, God adds a part. No, at salvation nothing adds. It's a relationship restored. Okay, now we have good relationship. Now you can call me Father, you can come to me, you can pray to me, I will listen to you, I accept your worship and all that. I don't consider you a sinner anymore. Your sins are forgiven. So that's what it is. We are not making ourselves a added dimensional person. No. So some people think that sin was metaphysical, man lost a portion. So when he's saved, he gets a new portion. So his weight is less after sin. After salvation, his weight increases. There's no weight increase or anything. It's a relation. It's a relation. That's very, very, important. So when man sinned, man became a sinner. Now the question is, Adam and Eve both sinned. When Adam and Eve had children, where did they get the sin nature from? Of course, from Adam and Eve. How? There are many theories to it. That's what we are talking this morning. One theory is talking about, the body of man comes from the parents, but the soul or spirit does not come from parents. One theory is that God in eternity past sometimes created billions and billions of souls. Those false souls were just floating around looking a place to enter in. So any time when a man and woman join and the conception takes place, they immediately, one of them get in and say, hey, I made it. That sort of. Then the question is how sin comes. So some of them say that, those souls have no sin, but God puts upon them, impute upon them the sin of Adam. Hey, say, your great-great-grandfather sinned, so I'm going to say that you are also a sinner. Okay, you say that I'm a sinner. But that doesn't sound right. An arbitrary decision to make a sinless person a sinner is not very fair. But that's what they say. Of course, some of them say that all these pre-existing souls are sinners, sinful souls, because they say that these souls are actually of a pre-existing human race before Adam. And this human race rebelled against God, and so God destroyed their bodies. But their souls are floating. So a sinful soul is entering into a sinful body. Okay. Well, they were, Bible doesn't know anything about it. Whatever God created, Bible says in 6 days He created. Nothing outside 6 days. There is no creation outside 6 days. So nowhere in the 6 days creation we read about a human race that was created and destroyed. No, it's not biblical. Some other people, of course, will say that no, not like that. God creates a new soul for every physical body conceived in the womb of the mother. It's not pre-existing soul, but it's a soul that is created. Okay? So and so, X and Y, they relate and conception takes place, so immediately God gets into activity, say, hey, some conception take place, we need a soul for that body. Okay, make one. So God makes one and put in it. So it's a sinless soul that is put in the body. And then what about the sin nature? Bible says everybody is a sinner. There is no righteous person. Well, God just makes it declare you are a sinner because your great grandfather sinned. You have no portion, I know that, but that's the way things go. That's the way things go. Well, that's very injustice. Either to say that God makes a sinful soul is God is the author of sin, or to say that God is imputing the sin of Adam. Again, you cannot impute somebody's mistake. The Bible very clearly says the son cannot be punished for the sin of the father. No, you cannot. That's against the biblical principle. So then, for God to impute, righteousness could be imputed because it is for the benefit. Somebody can put in my account, 1 crore rupee, I won't fight against it. But if somebody put their debt of 10 crores, even 10 rupee in my account without my permission, I will say, that's not right, that's not ethics, How come you paid your debt into my account? That's not right, Nobody will accept it. So, that again is injustice. So how are we going to explain it? What does the Bible teach? There is a theory, it's a biblical theory. The word is not used in the Bible, traducianism, but it's called traducianism. Traduci, traducianism, A-N-I-S-M, traducianism. To traduciate means to procreate, to generate. That's what that word means. To traducianism says both the body and the soul spirit of the children come from the parents, both of them. And in Adam, all the souls and all the bodies, the provision was made there. The substance of the soul and the body was there in Adam. From Adam it goes on, it goes on. By division it goes on. Everybody gets it. That's the way. So everybody, is a sinner because they were all in Adam when Adam sinned. That part we will come, Yes. In Romans 5:12, what does Romans 5:12 say? For by one man sin entered into the world, and all became sinners because all have sinned. That's an active verb. All actively sinned. By one man sin into the world, and all have sinned because all have sinned. All have sinned. So say that, my mother conceived me in sin. My mother conceived me. The very conception is in sin. Not that the activity, the sexual relation of a man and a woman is sin. That's not what it says. That Bible says that in Hebrews chapter 13 and all, it says the bed is undefiled. But what takes place there is a transfer of sin nature there, So that's what traducianism is. The sin in man, the sin nature in mankind can be explained only by traducianism. We cannot explain it by any other way. Creationism only creates more problem. Actually, because you are making God the author of sin arbitrarily God declaring everybody is a sinner, or Adam's sin is going to be imputed to man. The little child that is born does not know anything about Adam, if that's the case. Even if you say the body, but the sin is not in the body, The sin is not related to body, You cut out the arm, there is no sin in that arm. The sin is in the whole being. You cannot separate it, the whole being, Actually, sin originates in the mind, right? Out of the heart. Or adultery, or murder, or stealing begins in the heart. The thought about evil thoughts is what leads to. And of course, everybody does not commit sin because everybody is not as courageous as the others. And that's the truth. You go to the bank and, 1,000 rupees bundles are there, crores of rupees. Oh, the thought comes, boy, that would be nice if that person looks there, I can put my hand and take it. But you don't do it. Why? You don't have the courage to do it, to face the police, take all the beatings. Some have the courage, so they do it. If they are caught, they are beaten. They said, not so bad, I got 2 crores of rupees for a few beatings. The nature is that desire is there. Desire is there. The covetousness is there. The lust is there. But not everybody is going to, do it. No, everybody is not going to do it. Imputation is that somebody else's mistake is dumped on you. That's the imputation. The other is participation. In Adam, you are there. You have committed sin in Adam. Because you are in Adam as a person. Your substance, physical and spiritual substance was there. God deposited. Adam was no ordinary being. Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve, Eve is the mother of all living creatures. Eve is the mother of all living people. She is not just the mother of Cain and Abel and Seth. No, she is the mother of all human beings. So, all human beings get the mother's character. That's reasonable. We all do that. So, traducianism really explains how we get the sin nature. So, why people say God had to create a new spirit and all? It's because they think that only a material thing can be transferred from parents to others. They think about it. What is this man and woman creating? No soul spirit is transferring there. Only some material. Some seeds passed on. Or the sperm and the ovum, they are material matters. You can take it. They are material. You can take it. They take it in the lab and unite them. And all that. It's a material matter. So where is the spirit? But God has put both matter and spirit in that material matter. It contains both. It contains both. No child is ever born by the sexual union of a man and woman without a soul. It's never. And it carries both. So this misunderstanding of what is substance. Substance means is not a material. Substance means the nature. Divine substance is the divine nature. Human substance is the human nature. So to say that, from parents, children get not only their physical nature, but also their spiritual nature. Both nature come from the parents. So in anthropology, the human substance or nature is without extension and figure, yet it is certain amount of real being with the definite and distinguishable properties. Yes, it has its own distinguishable properties. Every child is known not only by the physical shape but also by character. Every child from childhood is known for character. So clear, you can just, basically the moment a child is born, you know what sort of a child it is. Some are so peaceful and sleeps through, doesn't trouble any parents or anything. Even when hungry, maybe one cry, if the mother knows, simply say, I am. But other children crying and crying and crying and crying and crying, and everybody in the home, the neighborhood, nobody can sleep. Unless the Lord will do a great work or transformation in that child. The character is there, Yeah. Some child is wet, immediately parents have to change, the mother has to change. Otherwise you will cry and cry and cry until it is changed. That's a character. Some of the children, they will be there in all that mess. Oh, they almost say, I'm not going to trouble anybody. It's my problem. It's amazing how you watch children, Some are hungry or some are wet. Some sleepy children, they cry for an hour before they sleep. Why can't they go sleep? And some children sleepy, you lay down, they immediately go to sleep. Both are children. So, the nature is, that's the essence, the children are known by their character. That's why the Bible says, there's a verse which says that from childhood you can know the future of a child. You can know from childhood. Doesn't the Bible say somewhere, say that, Dushtanmar, Ammiyude Garbhathil ninnu Prashtanmarayi varunu. There is the wicked men will come out of the womb as wicked people. As wicked people. Didn't Jacob got hold of? Yeah. He was a supplanter right from his mother's womb. Of course, God changed him. That's the work of salvation. God can make a very fine character out of this type of person. The Saul of Tarsus could be made the Apostle Paul. That's the work of transformation. But, this our sinful character is there, and as I said, some people are born saints, sometimes I believe, but Bible says everybody is a sinner, so I don't have a right to say that. But some children are so nice, it's so easy to bring them up. Seldom cry, seldom fuss. Whatever you give, they take, they are satisfied with it, they have no demand, nothing. Some children are so demanding, everything has to be exactly, the temperature has to be right. Everything has to be right. If there is a little bit different, they make fuss. Both children. Sometimes children of the same parent. Yeah. Amazing, isn't it? It's very amazing. Yeah, some are like the father, some are like the mothers more. Some like the grandfather more, some like the grandmother more. Yeah, there is. Some parents have sanctified their children by prayer and tears even before the conception. Through the conception. They cried and prayed and, so the Lord, amazingly work. The Lord can...
So if they get a child like that, he's still natural, right?
The child is still a sinner. The child needs to be saved, yes.
No, the child is still a natural being, right? He's not spiritual.
No, that's a natural being, but the nature is more pacified,
If I as a Christian say that he's pacified, so I'm saying that he doesn't need salvation, right?
Oh no, everybody needs salvation. He will be a good sinner, the other will be a bad sinner. And all sinners go hell. There are good sinners in hell, bad sinners in hell. Yeah.
I think this question was, what was the spirit aspect as a child?
The spirit is there, the sinful spirit.
Good and bad is basically kind of subjective only.
It's not only subjective, it is subjective in the sense that we know that it's a fact that all children does not behave the same way, because all children are not the same. Some are calm children, some are they have more patience, more meek, more humble, and all these characters in the natural man also there, and they are not the spiritual virtues, but yet there is some. So how it happens? It happens because of the parents' prayer and all that, that the Spirit of God kind of start working in them. That doesn't mean they are children of God, It doesn't matter. Just like
The capacity part, the capacity.
the capacity is there, but you have a kind of incapacitated the capacity. Not quite that way, but it's a matter of your training also. Matter of your training.
So it's like a child who is born and brought up with every comfort. So even naturally will not question anything. It doesn't have anything to do.
Oh, in America and all children born with all comforts. Diana was born with all comforts and living in all comforts, still ran after that. What was his name? Diana, Prince Diana. Comforts only spoil people. Comforts does not. Because there is no limit to the comfort you are seeking for. People who have all comforts here, they are willing to pay $10-15 million to go and make a house in moon. You ask them, what do you like here? That's man never satisfied, sinner never satisfied. Only a saint is satisfied. But the point I am saying is this: even though all are sinners, all are not showing their sinful character alike. That's what I am saying. All are sinners, but not all sinners are acting sinful alike. That's all what I said. So by the grace of God and by the prayers of the parents, some of the sinful nature in them is kind of, God put a pacifier in their mouths. You put a pacifier in the mouth of the child. The character is not changed, but the pacifier kind of pacifies. Our prayer makes a big difference. Makes a big difference.
So yesterday I went through the life story of Tiger Woods.
Ah.
So till a point he was like the macho or a perfect being.
Oh, well, secretly perfect being. People didn't know that. He was carrying on his illicit relationship with all those women, but nobody knew, but it came out. That's the way. The sin will find you out once. The first time you sin, you are not going to be caught. It will. So Tiger Woods was thought to be even a believer. Many people said he's a believer. His testimony was wonderful. Well, he is a specimen of people who can practice in privately. Yeah. He was having affairs with many women, not one. Think of that. It didn't happen overnight. So there are many people like that. Yeah, many people like that. But our children are all children born are sinners, but yet we ask God, Lord, put a pacifier in their mouths so that they will not cry and make fuss in the church when the meetings are going on. And some sinners are very nice. The Lord is gracious. Yeah, that's there. But that doesn't mean it's more difficult sometimes for some children to get saved than other children sometimes, because they already think that they are good. But salvation is not based upon what we think. It's a sovereign work of God. Yes. So in Adam and in Eve. In Adam, basically, when Adam was created, all humanity was created in him, you could say that, with him. And then in Adam and Eve, whatever it takes to transfer the physical and the spiritual aspect, it were all deposited in them. The rational soul, the immortal life. These things don't occupy any space. They don't occupy any space. And they cannot be divided by any material instrument. It cannot be examined by any microscope. In Hebrews chapter 11 verse 3, Hebrews 11:3, there is a statement which is very difficult sometimes to understand, but it's very meaningful. The things which are seen were not made of things which are, seen or appear. The things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. The visible body is constituted and built up by an invisible vitality. The substance of the body or the soul is not anything visible. The visible thing, the body is visible thing, but this body is made up of something that is invisible, The substance of the body you cannot see. You can take a sperm or an ovum, and you can, or even a zygote you can take. Zygote is what is after, yes, you can take the zygote and examine it under a very powerful microscope and all these things. You will not see any substance in them. You only see certain material things, but no substance. So where is the substance hidden? Where is the character hidden? Where is the intelligence hidden? Where is the emotion hidden? Where is the self-awareness hidden? You can take every cell by cell, but you won't see this thing. You cannot see that. Because the substance is and not material. Substance is immaterial. But it is real. It's real, it is there. It comes up. Very amazing, isn't it?
Is your view on human cloning?
What is my view on human cloning? Well, I am not very much for those things. I'm not very much for. There are many scientific possibilities. Theologically, I cannot accept them. I think a child has to be born by the love relationship of a husband and wife. Now you can create any number of people if you want, I guess, according to the principle of cloning and all. But, my feeling is not one of them will be elected by God. Not one of them will be elected by God. So you are creating a lot of people for eternal hell. So I'm not for it. Yeah, the one parent is here. As I said, it should be born with the love relationship of a husband and wife. So, that's not God's design. See, what science does is, science encroach upon, certain areas that God never had given to them. God said it, God created man and woman in God's image. But what did Satan come and say that? If you eat, you will be like God. Weren't they created like God? So Satan wanted to make them like God, but not in the same sense, in another sense. So that's what man is doing. They want to make man, but not in the way God creates, but in another way. So that the creator of that kind of men will be the science. That's what science is trying to prove. We can do things without God. We can create human beings without God. But the thing is, they are taking what is God already made and manipulating it, but yet that's what they are claiming. So I don't favor any of those things. Of course, the latest is what they called the stem. Yes, stem cells being grown, used for, and all that thing. Well, I don't know anything about that. I have to study a lot, The test tube babies are all unethical, They are what is wrong with test tube babies? They usually will make 4 or 5. That's what they will. They take one and kill the others. So that's murder. For one child you murder 5, 6. Because the research, to every time to do it artificially, bring them together is a lot expensive. So when they make it, they make 4, 5, 6. And then one of them, the most healthy one, they will use it. And if it is rejected, then they will use the other one. If it is accepted, they will wait for some time and then slaughter it. They destroy it. So, the theological aspect of all these things, people don't discuss. They think, hey, we don't have children, we cannot, so why don't we go to doctor? And, if it's a question of taking one of your sperm and one ovum only and only one that and then uniting, well, that's a different matter. But then that way they will never do. Because that way they will be a failure. Because if it's rejected, they have to go do everything. That means a lot lakhs of rupees again. So what they do, 4, 5 they will fertilize and then one of them will be used. So this sort of thing, they have problem with that one. So a lot of these scientific advancements are not so scientific for me. It is a challenge against the Creator and God's system. And I think we should not, encourage. Some governments have banned all, such experimentation. No more experimentation on this sort of genetic reproduction of man and all that. Some governments have banned it because they have seen where it's going to lead to. Someday mankind is going to suffer for it because they are going to create a Superman, so-called Superman. All the worst characteristics